My name is Shalini Joshi, and I work with Nirantar, which is a Center for Gender and Education based in New Delhi, India. I work as a co-director with Nirantar. Nirantar had been working in the area, which is Bundelkhand, since 1993. We had been working with women and adolescent girls. We had a literacy program for them in that area. And we realized that for women who became literate, there was very little reading material that was available to sustain their fragile literacy skills. We realized that there was a need to make available reading material to these women. And we decided to produce a newspaper that would provide not just information, but also news from around the area. And we also decided that while we were producing a newspaper, it was a good idea to involve women from the area in the production of the newspaper itself. This was also to challenge an existing gender stereotype, which is that in journalism, which is a very public domain, where you are required to interact with a number of people, you're required to be mobile, you don't see many women in this profession. Especially in rural areas, in villages and small towns in India. The existing journalists are all upper caste, the more literate men. And so we decided to train women who are newly literate from marginalized communities such as Dalit, tribal and Muslim as journalists who would get news and information, write it so that they could practice their newly acquired literacy skills. And also comment on the news, analyze and comment on it, and make it available to hundreds of people like themselves who did not have access to reading material. The readership of the newspaper is about 25,000. It's a weekly newspaper, so almost 25,000 to 30,000 people read the paper every week. The content of the newspaper includes current issues on governance, on politics, on local development issues. It has 8 pages. So the first page is on current and topical issues. The second page is on national and international issues, because we feel that rural audiences also have a right to access news from other areas. So significant national issues and sometimes very important international issues, which may be related to politics or even sports, are included in that page. There is a page on women's issues as well, which has reports on cases of domestic violence, which no other newspaper in the area reports on. The women's page also has case studies of women who may have done very well in their own areas. So, for example, interviews with women officials or a woman who has struggled and survived domestic violence. There is a page on regional news, which includes news from the neighboring districts. And there is a page on entertainment, which has fiction, articles on local history and culture. Like other newspapers, there is also an editorial page, which has an editorial which is written by the women themselves, in which they comment on an existing piece of news which is included in the newspaper. So they provide their own critical views on that piece, and there are letters to the editor. The King Sejong Prize that we have won this year will inspire other collectives of women to produce similar newspapers. When we received the award this year, when the news came to us from UNESCO, we were contacted by several other organizations saying that they were interested in starting similar projects. The award money will also be used by Nirantar to promote and encourage other women's collectives in rural areas to start similar newspapers, because funding is always limited, especially for women's initiatives. So the award and the award money will be used to promote the idea of Khabar Lahariya, of news waves, and spread the waves to other areas.